TV station in Ghana. It's Royal. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the most authoritative TV station in Ghana. It's Royal Television. Well, as part of our tour to be speaking to prominent and influential people in Ghana, we did a stop by. He is known to be an astute politician and a football administrator, but not many know this man, who is the founding member of the New Patriotic Party, and of course, once a military man. The man we'll be speaking to this afternoon is Dr.Nyaho Tamakloe. I've told you, he's a Ghanaian politician, a football administrator. He was the president of the Ghana Football Association from 2001 to 2005, and Ghana's ambassador to Serbia and Montenegro from 2005 to 2009. He is a founding member of the New Patriotic Party. Dr.Nyaho Tamakloe.
Let me make one correction before you continue. My profession is medicine. And I'm not a PhD holder.
Okay.
I'm a medical doctor.
Medical doctor?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not an honorary...
No.
Yes.
Then secondly, I didn't serve as GFA president from 2001 to 5. In fact, if anything, I was among the shortest serving, what do you call it, presidents of the FA.
Wow.
Because I resigned on principle. I resigned.
On principle?
Oh, yes. I resigned on principle.
Well, once you've brought it, why did you resign? On principle?
Well, it's a stressful issue. You know, when I took over from this gentleman, a nice gentleman known as Ben Kofi.
Yes.
You might not know him.
Yes.
A very, very gentle person who was once a footballer. In fact, I was, I think, a goalkeeper. Now, Ben Kofi was such a gentle giant that when I was coming to take over from him in 2004-05, he said, "Doc, the FA is a place that you have to open your eyes well." I said, "Oh, no problem." In fact, he called it a snake pit.
A snake pit?
Yeah. So before I came there, I knew myself where I was going to.
Okay.
And I remember when President Kufuor assigned me to that work, he said he knows that it's a troublesome place. Wow. He knows I can handle it. Mind you, I've been chairman of Accra Safo before, for years. For some time, not really for years. But I've been board of directors of Accra Safo for years. I'm still a board member, most senior board member. Now, when I got to the FA, I noticed there are a lot of infractions there. But you ask yourself, how do you tackle it? Because it's a sort of syndicate.
Yeah, cartel.
Which you can't just say you cut one route and that's the end of it. It's interwoven.
Yeah.
And what annoyed me most at that time was that this syndicate have made it impossible for those who really want to work for the progress of the FA to work. They don't give them that opportunity. And mind you, all of them there are on either heavy allowances or salary. Now, the second point I noticed that disturbed me a lot was that when there's a fault at the FA, they just easily put it on the president of the FA.
Okay.
They have what they call the executive committee. And then they still have some of them there like that. And this executive committee will never take responsibilities when it comes to failure.
They put the blame on the president.
They put the blame on the president. So I sat one day, I thought about it. I said, what exactly are they doing? They are doing nothing productive as far as I'm concerned. And then worst of all, they travel around. And all the largesse you can think about, they have them.
They have them?
Oh yeah, they have them. Some of them, even when players are being given bonuses, they get the bonuses. So I remember one day, I spoke with the then Minister of Youth and Sports. Very good man. A very, very good man, I must say. He was in charge of youth and sports, called Kojo Redu.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he has passed on.
Yeah. The former finance minister.
It's one person Ghana missed as a president. The president Ghana never had. I will say it.
Really?
Oh, yes.
He was a presidential
He's efficient.
material.
I said the president that Ghana never had.
Wow.
Very efficient, very honest, straight to the point. And these are the type of people I like to associate myself with. So I told him in the conversation that, look, these are a few things I have observed. By then, he was minister responsible for youth and sports.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, he left youth and sports, and he was brought to Ministry of Finance. Yeah. He's an accountant also.
Yeah.
So I discussed with him. I said, Kojo, I think there is a lot going on there you might not be aware. And then I would like to bring it to your notice. So he was very happy, very, very happy about what I said. And he said, oh, if you can put in form of a memo for me, I would like it. So I did. And my memo was just straightforward. In future, mind you, I was elected there. I was elected.
You were elected?
No, sorry. I was selected. I was just appointed.
Okay.
I wasn't elected.
As executive member?
No, as head of the FA.
Okay, the FA president.
I was appointed, if I use the word more precisely, by President Kufuor. So in my memo, I decided that I would prefer if he, in future, adopts the same method. Each member of the executive committee or whatever they call themselves there, including the FA president, must be elected.
Okay, okay.
This didn't go down well with the executive committee members. So they plan to have me impeached.
Wow.
And I don't sit down quietly over certain things. The moment I heard about it, I went straight to court.
You went to court?
Oh yeah, Accra High Court. I'm talking about the year 2004, 2005.
Okay.
I think more 2004 ending.
That was the second term of President Kufuor.
Yeah, that was the time of President Kufuor. Firstly, they claim they cannot be taken to court. But at the High Court, that claim was thrown away.
Okay.
Then later I was hinted by somebody, an inner person, that they have gone to see the judge. So the next case might be a bit doubtful. That very day, no. When I heard about that, we were to go to court.
Okay.
The following day. And President Kufuor might have heard about it, so he invited me.
All right.
So I went to see President Kufuor with the Minister of National Security, Mr. Francis Poku.
Francis Poku.
President Kufuor said, oh, But now it's interesting. Since you went to this place, everything has been normal. Things are moving smoothly. You have even been able to get us a good coach. There's a coach by the name Dugovic.
Yeah, Dugovic.
Who qualified us for the first time to the World Cup.
Yes, exactly.
It was under my chairmanship. And a small committee that we formed made up of, I think, Kwesi Nyantechi, Fred Papo, Dr. Kufiamo, and myself.
Okay.
We selected this gentleman. And he qualified us for the first time in the history of Ghana for the World Cup. But strange enough, when I went to President Kufuor and he said, oh, if there's anything there, Kufuor has always been a peaceful person. Yeah. We should try and amend it because he doesn't think I have any problem. He hasn't heard of any problem there. Okay. But by then I've already made up my mind.
That you are resigning?
Oh, that I'm resigning. But before...
So President Kufuor's intervention didn't stop you?
No, he really was not blaming me for anything wrong. He might have heard of something, so he was telling me that I should, still be calm with them. Yeah. They are difficult people.
So that you resolve it.
Yeah. By then he didn't know the case has gone that far.
Oh, okay.
So I remember the following day we were to meet Mr. Safo Marfo.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, I know him.
He was then the minister responsible for youth and sports when he was moved from the finance
ministry.
And Kojo Ban went there. They just swapped.
Yeah.
Now, in Safo Marfo's office at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we were about, Dr. Kofi Amwa, Fred Papo, a member of the Black Stars Committee, Kwesi Nyantechi, my deputy, myself, the minister,
Safo
Marfo himself, and the secretary.
Okay.
So discussion started, and Safo Marfo said he feels I'm having challenges with the, with the executive,
the people
there. So he advised me to step aside.
That's what Safo Marfo said.
Oh yeah. Mind you, I don't see anything that is not true. Because I'm not afraid of him. He's alive. He can come and challenge me.
He told you in
and there are people, apart from me, there are other 4 people I've mentioned. Yeah. They are all alive, as far as I know. Honestly, that got me infuriated.
So what was your reaction at the meeting when he told you to...
That's why I said that got me infuriated.
Yeah.
So I said, how dare you tell me this? Are you the one who appointed me to that place? Say, oh, there's a whole lot of problems there. Was complaining about my impatience and all sort of. Honestly, I told him my peace of mind at that meeting.
You told him your peace of mind?
Yeah. And I left the office. I banged his office door in the ministry. He got into my car, went straight to my clinic.
And you walked out of the minister?
Of course I did. He's a human being. And if he has brought himself to that level, I'll treat him as such.
Okay.
Well, that's not the way he should have tackled the thing. So I went to my clinic. I wrote a letter of resignation. I gave it to my driver to be brought to them in the ministries.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about within a few hours.
So after leaving the office, you wrote that resignation letter.
Later on, the letter of resignation was acknowledged on behalf of government.
Okay.
By Madam Elizabeth Ohini.
Ohini,
You might have heard that.
Yeah.
She was then Minister of State.
Yes.
Now, listen carefully. The memo that I came out with, I sent a copy to FIFA.
Okay.
And later, that same memo was what FIFA used to have the new sort of administrative organization you have there now.
In the Ghana Football Association
Yes.
now?
Elections. Before then, there were no elections.
Yes.
This committee, what is their name?
The
Executive Committee.
Yeah. The ESCO committee.
Formerly, there was no elections. Now, every Tommy Dick have to be elected. And of course, they have to account for what they do.
Okay. Accountability was part.
So I left. Now, the news got to BBC. BBC called the minister. The minister tried to, sort of massage the whole thing. When BBC called me, I told them I have resigned. Full stop.
So he was trying to dribble his
That's
way.
why I said massage. He was saying, oh, just a slide.
So you exposed him?
It's not a question of exposing him. It's a question of saying what happened.
Saying the truth?
Yes, that's the truth. You follow me?
Yeah.
So that is the point.
Okay.
And I remember vividly, for about a month or two, then I was made an ambassador to Serbia and Montenegro.
Yeah. And
I remember that particular season we were going to play the World Cup.
Yes.
In any country that plays the World Cup, the cup is moved from one nation to another.
Yeah.
And the cup came to Accra. And President Kufuor invited me. Even though I've left the FA.
You've left the GFA?
Yeah. He invited me to come and have a look at the cup. So I went. Myself, himself, Safo. And he came to me. He was apologetic. I don't have anything. Oh, yes. Well, he knows he has done wrong. What have I done to him? And then he said, oh, that some people wanted to destroy the nice relationship between myself and himself.
Okay.
That's what he said. He's alive. You can ask him.
So he didn't realize it then?
But what I'm glad about is that when there's something I disagree with, I can take my pen and say no, and I'll leave.
Wow. Principle.
Yes. And that is what worries me about this country. There's one thing leadership cannot do in this country.
Okay.
And it is very sad. And that is why we are not really progressing as a nation.
Very well, very well. Having led us through your time in the GFA, let's take a bit on football and then move to politics. What is one thing that we are doing as a nation that is dragging the football administration back? What is it at all?
So what your question again?
What can we do to uplift the football in Ghana?
I started from Cape Coast because once Cape Coast was the capital of Gold Coast. And when the seamen, who in those days brought in goods and merchandise, they arrive and things by being loaded and offloaded. In those days, everything has to be done physically.
Yeah, physical.
They notice they have time at their disposal, many a time, and they are not doing anything. So they brought the game here. So they were playing amongst themselves.
Okay.
And when it's time for them to leave, they leave. Then, surprising at a certain level, the natives started playing with them.
Okay.
When I say the natives,
yes.
Our people,
the indigents.
The indigents. So like I joke, then the whole thing got some sort of attention and people started watching them. So some clubs were formed in Cape Coast. I can't list them now to you. And then football shifted from Cape Coast to Accra.
Wow.
Apparently later, the capital was moved from Cape Coast to Accra.
Okay. Okay.
So what is even interesting more is that when the capital was brought down here, a lot of clubs emerged.
From Accra?
From Accra here, various clubs. Before Stanfast, there were great clubs like Accra House of Folk.
Okay.
Founded 11 November 1911.
In 1911.
And then later on some clubs like Accra Stanfast, which later turned into what you have now, Accra Great Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of clubs. I can't list them, but all of them fell by the wayside with time.
Oh, okay.
So the only club that survived this sort of difficult situation or this sort of challenges they faced in those days was Accra House of Folk.
They survived.
They survived.
Yeah.
By then they had local leadership that knew exactly
what they are doing.
And they have an idea about administration. Former Accra House of Folk has always, like it is today, in hands of very competent people.
Yeah.
So we had other clubs like Suede All Blacks. Recently I heard another All Blacks have been formed. I was laughing. Suede All Blacks, Red Lions of Accra.
Wow.
Yeah, which was mainly a team from Nima.
Nima.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Very good footballers. But I think they had difficulties because of administrative reasons and management.
Yeah.
And then we have clubs like Secondary Hazakes,
Okay.
Ebuswan Dwarfs. These are all clubs. Unfortunately, we don't
They are all
hear
dead.
them. And I remember one club that has Warrior House of Folk when I was a kid. We all knew was Ebuswan Dwarfs.
Ebuswan Dwarfs.
Oh. Anytime the House of Folk was going to play them, we are always worried.
Really?
Especially when it is an away match.
Okay, when you're going to their home, you find it difficult.
Now, of course, before then came in Asante Kotoko.
Okay.
I think in 1937.
1935.
35, yeah. Which is quite recent. Kotoko was also in hands of very competent people. So it moved nicely, just like House of Folk. In those days, there was very close, friendly relationship between these two clubs.
Asante Kotoko and
Oh yes, especially when you come to the top management. You have to see them. I get to see some of them. A man like Sims Mensah and others, I can't remember all the Kotoko heavyweights now. I knew he was very close to HP Nyamitai.
Yeah.
And there was a time I was at the Accra Sports Stadium. By then I've been appointed newly as house chairman. And I've come out with my revolutionary, what do you call it? Strategy. And Sims was with Nyamite. We also the three of us. They call Nyamite, the word is Nyamite.
Nyamite.
Some, especially the Ashantis call him Nyamite.
Yeah, Nyamite. Okay.
It's Nyamite.
Nyamite.
Brother Tay.
Okay,
that's what it means.
Okay.
So, I remember Sims said, "Is it Nyamite? This is your young man. You have to learn into him for a while."
Referring to you?
Yes. Then Nyamite said, "For what?" He said, "I want him to bring discipline to Kotoko."
Wow.
By then.
So you were still disciplining House of Folk.
Why, you guys, you don't seem to read what had happened before. History is the best teacher. House of Folk, under my leadership, 24 regular players were sacked.
Really?
They were thrown away by me. You follow me?
And you had...
And I brought in young people.
Replacements?
Average age, 16.
Yeah.
Names like Shamokwe,
okay,
Abladekuma, Anyete Sowa, Ebendubate, Joe Ado, who was captain of Blaster for years, is now in the US. Ezekiel Alamu. What are some of the key boys?
You have all
Nana
these
Benyon Crensel. I mean, these boys over there, they played wonderful football. First, people couldn't believe that they could stand the wind, but they did. They did.
You were coming to why the rivalry started between Asante Kotoko and Safo.
Oh, definitely. You see, at a certain level, both clubs were seen as the strongest clubs in Ghana. So that would definitely attract
rivalry.
Sort
of.
And when I was a kid, I remember when Hearts of Folk is playing Kotoko.
Yeah.
In Accra here, not what you see now. These days, you don't hear anything. For 2 weeks, that would be the discussion on radio. But then there weren't these sort of equipment people have got. Just radio box, radio fishing box, and in the papers.
That is where the information will flow.
There will be arguments in the chop bars, there will be arguments in the drinking bars. All of
love football.
It encourages footballers, football admirers, and it brings them to the stadium.
Yeah.
So by the time that you see the stadium, Accra Sports Stadium, fully packed, the stadium can take about 30,000 plus people.
Wow.
Or even maximally 40,000. It can go more. By at that time, about 30,000. It had been renovated, so the figures were every time. And you enjoy it. There's no fighting, nothing. When the game is over, whoever has won
would win.
Has won. That's all. So that's where the competition started.
Okay.
You see. And it went on and went on. Well, if I want to go into that, that will be a long history.
A long history indeed. Yeah. A long history indeed. Okay, let's move away from football and then get to politics.
You asked a question that I think must be answered.
Which one was it?
The state of Ghana football. And
yes. How can we...
Pre-independence, we had a governor called Kogisberg.
Yes.
Kogisberg stayed in this country for quite a while. And I must say, he's the only governor who appears to do one or two projects for the nation, Ghana.
Okay.
Gold Coast. He supervised the building of the Takrady Harbour, Kolebu Hospital, and few other things, across the country. So he was popular and known. And he had interest in football.
Okay.
The word interest.
Interest, yeah.
So he put up a cup. We used to call them silver cup.
Silver cup.
And the first, if I would say, organized league in those days was played. And the cup was won by Accra Safo.
Wow.
That also brought that
the
sort
rivalry.
Of the rivalry. And then Nkrumah came on the scene. Interestingly, Kwame Nkrumah was very much interested in football. But he sees it as a multifaceted approach to his own political interests.
Yeah. Because people love football then.
He knows Ghanaians love football. He knows Africans love football.
Yeah.
But in those days, countries who can play the African Cup must be independent countries.
Okay.
So Ghana, at that time, was the only West African independent country.
Okay.
But we became independent before any African country.
On the sub-Saharan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when the whole thing started, we started playing teams like countries like Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. Very interesting.
The 3 Maghrebian teams.
Yeah, but Algeria had just had independence when they joined, after their long struggle with their leader. I've forgotten the political leader at that time. So Nkrumah used that, and it yielded good results. So through that, Nkrumah quickly put in place the Black Star.
Okay.
Now at that time, listen carefully. You play football not because of money.
Okay. You played
but the interest you personally have got and the love you have for the country. And the country. And surprisingly, all those young men at that time who played football, they had other work doing.
Okay.
They are either working with electricity corporation, housing corporation, PWD, you name it.
So the football was a side job?
It's a side job. And if they get anything at all, it's just a dash.
Okay.
They might have performed well.
Some allowance.
There's no stated allowance.
It's a tip.
A tip, that's the right word. So Nkrumah, because of his interest in football, promoted football.
Okay.
And brought in a gentleman by the name Ohinijan.
Okay.
You might have heard of the name.
Yes.
Some few years back, his name was on the stadium, what we now call Accra Sports
Stadium. Yeah.
Ohinijan. And even at that time, Ohinijan was not forced on the people. Listen to me carefully. Ohinijan and other competitors went into an election.
Okay. At that time?
At that time. So you can see Ghanaians have always cherished democracy. And there was one key person who contested against Ohinijan. He was senior to Ohinijan, and I would say he had more experience in even football administration than Ohinijan.
Okay.
His name was, I think, R.M. Akwe.
R.M. Akwe.
Now, here politics came in.
Okay.
So Ohinijan won. So when Ohinijan won, Ohinijan became the first ever chairman of the Ghana Football Association.
Okay.
He's a hard worker, though, I must confess.
Okay. But on the side of Kwame Nkrumah?
Yeah, Nkrumah really was the one who pushed him in.
Brought him.
So he reported directly to Nkrumah.
Okay.
So football started growing. Black Stars, stronger, giant players that we had. People like James Ajay of Asante Kotoko, Salisu of Asante Kotoko, Dogomoro of Asante Kotoko. Recently I met him at Manchia.
Wow.
But when I asked him, I learned he has passed on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he was. I was so happy when I saw him. He was looking good. Dogomoro, Asebi Boachi, Kwame Adakwa. I mean, these were talented footballers. I'm telling you, you ask anybody who knows about this, talented football, especially Kwame Adakwa.
Wow.
Shortest, smallish man. When he's on the ball, to take it from him, he was a dribbler. In such a way you think he's
with
a
two legs.
2 legs.
So he was ambidextrous.
He would dribble you, even the ball over your head.
Wow.
And that was whenever Safo is going to play Kotoko, he's the one I get worried about. Yeah. Then, of course, Baba Yara. Now, House of Folk group, maybe I can remember them, and I should be able. Ofedodu. Amadou Akuse from Nima. Agrifin.
Okay.
And then we have also Agirifin.
Are they brothers?
They are not. Two different names. One is Agri, one is Agiri.
Agirifin.
But they are both Fin.
Yeah.
And then we had a gentleman who was he was a defender called C.D. Arthur. Tall, huge, well-built. Chris Bryant, who has been captain since the Black Star was formed. Then we have also Adudako, central defender. I mean, some of these people, they played the Black Stars till they got tired. Adudako. Then we have Adu Odamiti. And has had equal giants. And when Hearts is going to play Kotoko, the whole of Accra comes to a standstill.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So you can see how football was really developed and the interest started growing. So during the era of Kwame Nkrumah, Nkrumah quickly came up with another idea. He formed a useful side called the Real Republicans.
The Real Republicans, yes.
You see, your question really goes back far. And I think that's why I'm taking my time to explain.
Yeah.
Now, the Real Republican was just something like a feeding ground, a nursery.
A nursery.
For the
mother club, mother team.
Yeah, or the senior team.
Yeah, okay.
So all those who play in Real Republican, people who can remember Willie Evans, may he rest in peace. This was a wonderful footballer, central defender. From secondary school.
Okay.
Kenneth Lutrot. I mean, there are people, they are now elderly men, so you can, but you see them in football, you trust them. So when they graduate, they are brought to the
senior team.
To the senior team. So Kwame Nkrumah's era, we won 2 cups.
Okay.
African Cup of Nations.
Okay.
Of course, his effort. Unfortunately, when he was moved or removed from power, then the military came in. Now, during the period of the military, we didn't win the cup. That was the period of Jirankrai and Afrifa and Co. Now, when they left the scene,
because there was no interest or what?
But absolutely, their focus was on different things. And no one really had time for football at that time.
At that time.
They see that as just a recreational sort of, you know. But surprisingly, when Ankara left, and that's Afrifa's government left, and a civilian government came in, led by Professor Buzia. Of what we call, he led a party called the Progress Party.
Yeah, the PP.
They had a Ministry of Sports or Youth and Sports, but the interest was not like it was.
Okay.
During Nkrumah's time. Unfortunately, they didn't last long, and they were removed by Lieutenant Colonel Kutu Achampo in 1972.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1972. It's almost exactly, it was in January.
Oh, okay.
So, once again, the interest went down under Buzia.
Okay.
But General Achampon had interest in football.
Okay.
Even though he was a soldier. So he once again uplifted the game.
Okay.
And brought in a whole lieutenant colonel. That was a senior person from Burma camp called Lieutenant Colonel Sentim Abuaji also.
To lead the football fraternity.
In charge of football.
Okay.
Once again, he reported directly
to the military
to the general at Burma camp. So the boys were grouping up. We had coaches. They were doing well. And when we had the Africa Cup of Nations here at the Accra Sports Stadium, they won.
Wow.
I remember Champon sent a helicopter all the way from Burma camp to the Accra Sports Stadium to uplift them to his residence in Burma camp.
Wow.
So you can say this is a man who had interest.
So he had interest in football, so he was able to energize the base.
Yeah. Now, when he left the scene, we had another military regime for a short period led by General Kufu. Then came in June 4th revolution. The June 4th revolution era was of a short period, just 3 months.
Yeah.
So you can't really see anything was done.
Yeah.
But when a new government was handed over to President Hila Liman, Hila Liman brought another young chap whose name I can't remember now, who had interest in football. So his focus on the training, what the equipments and whatnot, they were given to the boys with a good coach.
Okay.
Then, unfortunately, on the 31st of December, his government was removed.
Yeah.
By then, we were close to Africa Cup of Nations.
Okay.
That was the time of Yeboah and Abedipele.
Abedipele and Tony Yeboah.
Now, we have got the Cup of Nations